What is up? This is your LA in a Minute here with another edition of the LA Taco Neighborhood Project. And today we're going to talk about Palmdale, which not only is fascinating, but it's the sixth largest city in Los Angeles County. It's also the aerospace capital of the United States. And did you know there was a Battle of Palmdale in the 1950s? What? Let's get into it. Palmdale's been inhabited by various tribes and indigenous peoples for the last 11,000 years. Due to the harsh climate, the inhabitants were mostly itinerant, and thus it was mostly used as a trade route for the Native Americans traveling from Arizona and New Mexico to California's coast. The first European settlement was established in 1886. It was called Palmdale, and it was a group of Lutheran travelers from the Midwest, mostly of German and Swiss descent. The settlers were told that they'd be close to the ocean once they saw palm trees. Now, these are Joshua trees, but they mistook them for palm trees, and that's why the settlement was called Palmdale. Now, the settlers were unfamiliar with farming in such a harsh desert climate, so when the drought years occurred, they abandoned the settlement by 1899. That said, when the Los Angeles Aqueduct was completed in 1913, Palmdale had a new lease on life. People in the burgeoning community were now able to irrigate and farm crops successfully, including apples, pears, and alfalfa. The community began to grow, albeit slowly, but there was a future on the horizon. The Palmdale Airport came into being in 1930, which enabled people to reach the outpost, which at this point was not accessible via highway. In 1952, the United States government took over and established an aerospace development and testing facility called United States Air Force Plant 42. In 1953, Lockheed built a facility, and the aerospace industry took over as the primary source of employment in the area. And that begat the Battle of Palmdale, which happened in August of 1956, when an unpiloted, out-of-control Navy drone flew over Palmdale while Air Force interceptor aircraft tried to shoot it down with unguided rockets. Most of the rockets missed and landed in and around the city, starting fires and damaging property. Luckily, nobody was killed, and the drone eventually crash-landed in the desert next to a Joshua tree. In August of 1962, with the population approaching 30,000 people, Palmdale made history as the first city to incorporate within the Antelope Valley. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, Palmdale's aerospace industry continued to thrive thanks to Plant 42, where it became the home of Lockheed and its famed Skunk Works program, as well as Boeing and Northrop Grumman. During the 80s and 90s, Palmdale became an integral community in Los Angeles as the abundance of affordable housing caused the population to spike. The population spiked dramatically. But with that spike came commuting issues, and to this day, Palmdale has the longest commute time in the entire United States. Farmers, however, don't need to commute, and Palmdale is still a main source for alfalfa, wheat, fruit, and onions. Palmdale, aerospace, and so much more. All right, LA, it's been a minute.